politician. He's one of us. Never, ever, ever give up.
Never stop fighting for what you believe in and for the people who care about you. Carry yourself with dignity and pride. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference.
23, on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, "I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less." Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsay said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham. That you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it, because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job
You
interview.
consider that you've been through a job interview.
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution. Which
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and raped them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade.
Active measures in the campaign of the election were. So are these, can you be any more specific than your answer with her about what they were doing, what you saw?
I think they're all chronicled in the Unclassified Intelligence Community Assessment in terms of it's very clear that the GRU was responsible for hacking into the networks of the DNC, DCCC, and were responsible through a cutout, releasing it through places like Lucifer 2.0, WikiLeaks, and others. And so they were taking advantage of information that they had collected that they determined, if it was publicly released, was going to advance their objectives that I had enumerated before. In addition, they amplified a lot of fake news stories that tried to denigrate Secretary Clinton. So it was a mixture of propaganda, it was cyber collection, and it was the release of information that was again seen as damaging to one of the candidates that they were trying to harm.
On the House Intelligence Committee is Democrat Adam Schiff of California. We've had a long-running dispute with the congressman on the matter of Russia. That began when he accused us of being agents of Vladimir Putin. You're on the Intel Committee. Let me just ask you one final question. Can you look right into the camera and say, I know for a fact the government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of John Podesta's email?
Absolutely. The government of Vladimir Putin was behind the hacks of our institution and the dumping of information.
Of John Podesta's email.
Not only in the United States, but also in Europe.
Okay, you're not, you know what, you're dodging.
And Tucker,
look and say, I know they did. John Podesta's emails, they hacked those.
And I think that Ronald Reagan will be rolling over his grave. And you're carrying water for the Kremlin.
I'm not carrying water for the Kremlin. You're a sitting member of Congress on the Intel Committee, and you can't say they hacked.
You're gonna have to move your show to RT Russian television, because
you know what? That's just so beneath your office, because it's so dumb and you're being duplicitous. I'm asking you, did they hack Podesta's emails? And you can't say it. Look into the camera and say they hacked John Podesta's emails. We know for a fact that Putin's government did that. You can't, and you know you can't, and you're hiding behind weasel words.
What is your response to the news, again, from two sources telling us Tony Podesta has been offered immunity in order to testify against Paul Manafort? What would that mean from your point of view, if true?
Well, it's completely disgusting, Tucker. I can't think of another word for it. This is very clearly partisan. Tony Podesta didn't just represent the Ukrainians and didn't register for them. He actually registered for Uranium One and Rosatom. He represented Sberbank, which is that's like representing directly Vladimir Putin. Sberbank is Vladimir Putin's hip pocket bank. From my perspective, they're probably giving him immunity, not just because he can do something to hurt Paul Manafort, because they certainly don't want him talking about Uranium One and Sberbank. If there was somebody in Washington representing the Russians in 2016, it was Tony Podesta. And by the way, Tucker, there are 17 Democrats who registered for Russian companies that were connected to the Kremlin or actually registered to represent the Kremlin. And those are just the ones who were registered. As you know, Washington is lousy with people doing the bidding of foreign countries without registering.
Yeah, I mean, they're literally everywhere. They're on my street, they're on everybody's street in the entire city, which is why to see the FARA law applied in the way it has been in the last year is just bewildering. And by the way, I'm not against it. I don't think people should lobby for foreign governments without registering. But to see it applied only to one side is genuinely shocking.
Mr. Chairman, this, and to the folks watching here, this slog continues. Last week, I urged you and my fellow members of the Judiciary Committee Democrats to respect the histories and traditions of this committee and conduct its business accordingly. We still have a crisis on our southern border. China is stealing our intellectual property, yet here we are, wasting another valuable week of legislating calendar against the majority's war against the administration. Today, we are meeting to consider a resolution to hold Attorney General Bill Barr in contempt of Congress. So let's take just a few moments and go through this. What is the justification for holding Attorney General Barr in contempt of Congress? Perhaps that he failed to abide by the special counsel regulations? No, he went above and beyond what the regulations required by transmitting the full report to Congress with limited redactions. Could it be that the Attorney General failed to accommodate the chairman's demands for information? No, he offered to let the chairman and 5 other Democrat leaders review the less redacted report at the Department of Justice, including a 99.9% unredacted volume on obstruction. In an odd move for anyone demanding access to information, the chairman and the other elected Democrats given access have declined to view that report. The Attorney General also volunteered to testify before this committee about the report's conclusions and his role in sharing the report. And as we all witnessed, the Democratic gamesmanship forced the Attorney General to forego the scheduled hearing last week. On Monday, the Justice Department offered to meet to discuss accommodations. Yesterday, they made a reasonable offer to avert this spectacle, and once again, they were rebuffed and the chairman declined. Perhaps then the Democrats believe that there has been an unreasonable delay in the Justice Department's response to their subpoena. No, that's not true either. In fact, the chairman is moving to this contempt resolution at lightning speed. It has been less than 20 days since the chairman, Nadler, subpoenaed documents from the Justice Department. When the Oversight Committee held Attorney General Eric Holder in contempt, more than 250 days had passed between the subpoena and the committee's vote to hold him in contempt. More than 450 days passed between the committee's initial request to the Justice Department and the committee's contempt vote. Judiciary Democrats are moving more than 10 times faster than Oversight did with Holder. They have moved from request to contempt vote in only 43 days. And yet the Justice Department is still at the negotiating table waiting for the Democrats to arrive in good faith. Why this rush? Without any valid legislative or administrative reason, we can only assume the Democrats that are led by the chairman have resolved to sully the bill bar's good name and reputation to accomplish two goals. First, Democrats are angry the special counsel's report did not produce the material or collusions they expected to pave their path to impeaching the president. I feel compelled to remind everyone the report found, despite offers to do so, no one from the Trump campaign knowingly conspired with the Russian government. And you can't help but notice the phrase Russian collusion has vanished from the Democratic talking points and left a void in the narrative. Since the special counsel did not make a prosecutorial determination of obstruction, which was his job, the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General did so according to their mandates as law enforcement officials while giving no credence to the Office of Legal Counsel's opinion regarding that of sitting presidents. As a result, they're angry. They're angry our nation's chief law enforcement officer and his deputy had the audacity to decide the evidence didn't support charges for obstruction and investigation into something the president didn't do. Second, Democrats are afraid of what the Attorney General will find when he completes his ongoing review of FISA abuses at the Justice Department, including how the Russia investigation began. Multiple news reports have suggested those conclusions could be explosive, could end careers, and could even lead to criminal prosecution. Rather than face that, the Democrats have resolved to neutralize Bill Barr by attacking him and the office and his integrity and his career. This is the first step. What a cynical, mean-spirited, counterproductive, irresponsible step it is. Meanwhile, our economy is surging, unemployment among several minority groups is at historic low. A recent Washington Post poll shows cratering support for impeachment, but Democrats have no plans, no purpose, and no viable legislative agenda beyond attacking this administration. The House is more than 4 months into a Democratic majority. How many bills passed by this committee have been signed into law?
Zero.
Mr. Chairman, I implore you to see reason. I ask that you recognize the craven and insincere politics that seem to be yielding no dividends for the American people. We've talked on multiple occasions and proved at last week's pharmaceutical markup that I stand ready to work with you to promote solutions. I will not, though, become a bystander as we assail the Attorney General and this committee.
Make a decision. You want to make it tonight? So we're doing great. The country's doing great. We're rebuilding our military. We're doing so many things. Listen, so we have a decision to make. We may have the greatest theme in the history of politics. It's called Make America Great Again. It's called MAGA Country. MAGA Country.